not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time on night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one courage, not a blade of grass.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third session of debates for today. In this matchup, we will see a team from Region 2 going up against one from Region 4. Our judges this afternoon. Our chief judge this afternoon is Dr. Valerie Gorasamy Smith. She has been an educator for 45 years and has had the privilege to share her knowledge in the areas of mathematics and English A and B secondary schools in Region 4. Secondary classrooms. This was followed by her service transitioning to the tertiary level, where she spent 20 years at the University of Guyana as an English lecturer in the Faculty of Arts. She's a national and international motivational speaker and is the founder and coach of Mastering the Art of Public Speaking and the Oral and Written Communication for Business Professionals program. She's the owner of the Gurusami Royal College. Our second judge this afternoon, Dr. Jermaine Hatton. Jermaine is a medical doctor and a University of Guyana lecturer in the School of Medicine in the areas of chemical pathology and academic writing. In 2019, Dr. Hatton was a member of the Guyana Youth Parliament, where he was awarded the Speaker's Award for his exceptional performance. In 2020, he represented Guyana at the Commonwealth Youth Parliament, where he acted as the chairman of the Health Committee. In 2022, the University of Guyana awarded him the Council of the University of Guyana Prize for the student that has made the greatest contribution to the university in other areas of university life. Dr. Hatton holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Medical Technology and a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Guyana. He's currently reading for his Master's in International Public Health. And our final judge this afternoon is Mr. Sarfraz Yaqub. Sarfraz also serves as a mentor of our youth parliament. He's a medical student and represented Guyana in Dubai at the Connectors Conference. And he also is pursuing his master's in public health as well. The teams this afternoon. Our proposing team is the Queenstown Youth Group. The aim of the group is to provide assistance and guidance to youths, providing a safe space for them to meet and interact with each other. To encourage the involvement and inclusivity of youths, the group offers activities surrounding sports, skills training programs, motivational sessions, exchange visits, hamper distribution, Christmas parties, and other social and interactive activities. There is a membership of approximately 30, which is not limited to youths of only Queenstown Village. Their first speaker is Ms. Latonya Alves, 20 years old from Queenstown, Essequibo Coast. Their second speaker, Mr. Sadesh Motilal, 20 years old from Reliance, Essequibo Coast. And their third speaker, Mr. Titus Jones, 20 years old from Queenstown, Essequibo Coast. The opposing team this afternoon is the Junior Chamber International, JCI Guyana. The JCI Guyana is affiliated with the Junior Chamber International, which is a worldwide leadership organization that focuses on areas of opportunities. In keeping with the organization's mission, JCI Guyana aims to contribute to the advancement of the global community by providing opportunities for young people to develop exemplary leadership skills while providing service to humanity. Since its introduction in Guyana in 1964, the JCI has implemented several projects and programs which foster teamwork and spirit among group members and communities. Therefore, in conjunction with JCI's mission, the theme for this administrative year is Transforming Lives, Impacting Communities, Achieving Sustainability. Their first speaker this afternoon is Mr. Denroy Tudor, 21 years old from South Rumpel Park. Their second speaker, Ms. Shani Grant, 22 years old from Nonpareil, East Coast, Demerara. And their third speaker, Mr. Manasseh Tudor, 22 years old from South Rumpel Park, Georgetown. The moot this afternoon is Nationalism Preserves Culture. I now declare this debate open, and I call on Ms. Latonya Alves, first speaker of the proposition, coming from the Queenstown Youth Group, to make her presentation.
A people without knowledge of their history, origin, and culture is like trees without roots. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, members of the opposition, audience, all, a pleasant afternoon to you. I, Latonya Alves, stand as the first speaker of the proposition in full agreement of today's moots, and I quote, nationalism preserves culture. To simplify this statement, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines nationalism as loyalty and devotion to a nation and preserve as to save or keep from decomposition. While the Boston University defines culture as all the ways of life, including belief, arts, and institutions of a population passed down from generation to generation. With that being said, to support our stance, I would present on how nationalism promotes cultural identity while in turn preserves culture. And my second speaker And my second speaker will present on the preservation of culture and tradition in the Caribbean, and my third speaker will conclude today's argument. In the arena of cultural preservation, patriotic pride emerges as a formidable force, serving as both a catalyst and a custodian of societal heritage. Within the framework of nationalism, where the primacy of cultural identity is underscored as the bedrock of national unity, individuals are motivated to embrace and uphold their cultural unwavering favor. Therefore, we redefine the moot as patriotic pride functions as a driving force behind the safeguarding and perpetuation of cultural traditions. Let us delve into the dynamic exchange between patriotic pride and cultural preservation, clarifying how nationalism ignites a collective sense of pride among individuals, thereby spurring concentrated efforts to safeguard and preserve traditional customs, languages, and practices for prosperity. Through the lens of patriotic pride, individuals are instilled with a heightened sense of stewardship, advocating for the conservation and protection of historical landmarks and monuments that serves as tangible testaments to their culture. The resonance of this sentiment is exemplified in Trinidad and Tobago, where Carnival is a part of their rich cultural heritage. Carnival is an expression of people's struggle and the celebration of their triumph, a symbol of defiance against all those who have oppressed them, said Trinidadian novelist Earl Lovelace in an online article titled History of TNT's Carnival by Life in Trinidad and Tobago. When we examine our definition of nationalism, it evidently coincides with the promotion of cultural identity, doesn't it? Moreover, the transmission of intangible cultural heritage, including language, music, dance, and folklore, emerges as a backbone of the preservation endeavor. Language assumes paramount importance as a channel for intergenerational transmission of values and collective memories. Dr. Caroline Cummins, head of Language and Cultural Studies at the University of Guyana, underscores the pivotal role of mother tongues in preserving cultural diversity and ethnicity, thus emphasizing the imperative of patriotic pride in safeguarding of linguistic heritage. For instance, the preservation of indigenous languages in Guyana. I am a proud Makushi and Wapishian man, and my language goes to the core of my identity, said Honorable Alistair Charlie. The article titled Language and Cultural Preservation, published by ETS Translation Services in March of 2022, highlights those cultural traditions such as festivals, rituals, and storytelling play a crucial role in preserving and passing down of languages and cultural practices through generations. These traditions ensure that cultural identities remain strong and vibrant by maintaining a connection to one's history. In summary, patriotic pride emerges as a strong catalyst for the preservation of cultural traditions among citizens of society. By amplifying the importance of cultural identity through collective actions and unwavering commitment, citizens harness transformative power of patriotic pride to nurture and safeguard their cultural legacies for generations to come. With that being said, we, the members of the preposition, strongly support this move. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Latonya. We'll now have the first speaker coming from the opposition, Junior Chamber International Guyana, Mr. Denroy Tudor, making his presentation.
Until the lions have their historians' tales of the hunt, shall always glorify the hunter. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, honorable members of the opposition, those that find pleasure in proposing the baseless, and distinguished guests, good afternoon to you all. I, Denroy Tudor, stand firmly in opposition to the moot, which reads, nationalism preserves culture. We are cognizant that the proposition will attempt to overwhelm you with vapidness and misconstruals of this pertinent moot. But permit me, honorable judges, to realign your focus with the definition of key terms found within this moot. Nationalism. The Britannica Dictionary defines it as the ideology based on the premise that the individual's loyalty and devotion to the nation state surpasses other individual or group interests. Preserves. The Cambridge Dictionary states it is to keep something as it is, especially in order to prevent it from decaying or being damaged or destroyed. Culture. The Britannica Dictionary defines this as the way of life, especially the general customs and beliefs of a particular group of people at a particular time. Taking these definitions into consideration, the redefining should read, prioritizing loyalty to nation state above other interests prevents the decay or destruction of the general customs and beliefs of that particular group of people. Mr. Speaker, the proposition will shout, scream, and read from the ivory tower that nationalism preserves culture, but fail to acknowledge that the horse is out of the proverbial stall. Nationalism is a tool of oppression. Nationalism is a tool of suppression. Nationalism is a tool that ensures the imposition of culture. There can be no cultural preservation when nationalism peaks its face. The simple appreciation of symbols, flags, and cultural holidays are elements of patriotism and not nationalism, which is rooted in excesses. Honorable judges, nationalism being a damaging tool of culture is not a novel acknowledgement by scholars. It is well known throughout history. Robert Kitchen, in his contribution to the International Encyclopedia of Human Geography in 2009, detailed the stark reality that Korean migrants battled within Japan in the 1920s and onwards. He further posited that Japan is a highly nationalistic country, and part of their nationalistic approach intentionally suppressed Korean culture and language. Listening audience, this is not cultural preservation by nationalism, but cultural suppression. Honorable judges, I dare you to ask 10 young children from Guyana, when last have you played Guyana? When last have you played Chinese? When last have you played Solo Out? Much less if you ask them, when last they played Faxi, they may ask you if you're referring to Donald Duck. G. Thompson, in 2017, in his scholarly work on nationalism in Guyana, stated that Guyana has tragically perpetuated marginalization and indeed the systematic erasure of minority cultures, thereby fostering a cultural hegemony that belies the true richness of our nation's heritage. Mr. Speaker, I ensure that I recheck this before our debate this afternoon, and I ask, why does our national university, the University of Guyana, after 50 plus years, does not have a campus in Region 9, nor a scholarship or a degree that focuses on Indigenous studies, which will by consequence force an avenue for the preservation of our First Peoples culture? Honorable judges, we, the opposition, strongly believe nationalism does not preserve culture. Our second speaker, Ms. Grant, will be tackling the historical revisionism and cultural imperialism that embodies nationalism. Our third speaker, Mr. Tudor, will strengthen our position by speaking on the exclusionary nature that nationalism causes to culture. Madam Moderator, in conclusion, the notion that nationalism preserves culture is a specious proposition rooted in antiquated notions of cultural purity and exclusivity. Listening audience, let us reject this moot and instead embrace a vision of cultural pluralism, innovation, and inclusivity. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Delroy, for your presentation. We will now have the second speaker coming from the proposition, the Queenstown Youth Group, Mr. Sudesh Motilal, making his presentation.
Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, and worthy opponents, allow me to pose a question that resonates through the corridors of history. What fuels the flames that guard the sanctity of cultural tradition? It is merely nostalgia or something more profound, something that beats in the heart of every patriot. Today, we affirm that patriotic pride is not just a fleeting emotion, but a formidable force, a force that steers nations toward the preservation and perpetuation. I stand as the second speaker of the proposition team to reinforce our stand on this intriguing debate moot: nationalism preserve culture. Firstly, honorable judges, revitalization and promotion of folk music serve as a vital pathway for preserving cultural heritage and fostering a sense of identity. Initiatives such as Community Steel Band in Trinidad and Tobago, Reggae Festival in Jamaica, and Traditional Music School in Cuba exemplify grassroots effort to ensure the continuity of local musical practice. By investing in these initiatives, we not only celebrate the diverse cultural tapestry of the Caribbean, but also enrich our collective soul, as Maya Angelou eloquently expressed. According to an article on preserving Caribbean folk music by James Smith in 2018, folk music acts as a bridge that connects people not only to culture, but also to the natural world. How can we further support and amplify these grassroots movements to safeguard our musical heritage? Through the preservation of folk music, we not only honor the legacies of our ancestors, but also inspire future generations to embrace and cherish their cultural roots. Ensure that the melodies of our past continue to resonate in the hearts of Caribbean people and beyond. Secondly, organizing regular festivals and events celebrating Caribbean culture. Caribbean Carnival, Food Festival, Music Concert, Art Exhibition, and Literary Festival provide vital platform for artists, musicians, chefs, writers, and cultural practitioners to showcase their talents and tradition. These events not only celebrate the vibrant diversity of Caribbean heritage, but also serve as powerful tools for cultural preservation, promotion, and economic development. For instance, the Notting Hill in London and Trinidad and Tobago Carnival attract millions of visitors annually, while festivals like the Barbados Food and Rum Festival and the Jamaica Jazz and Blues Festival contribute to tourism and showcase the region's culinary and musical prowess. Similarly, events like the Calabash International Literary Festival in Jamaica elevate Caribbean literature on the global stage, demonstrating the significant impact of cultural festivals in fostering cultural exchange, community engagement, and international recognition of the Caribbean culture. Cultural events are an imperative and perspective of any society. My dearest friends of the opposition, what is the soul of a nation if not found in the melodies of its music, the flavor of its cuisine, and the strokes of its artist brushes? According to an article by Gregory Till in 2019, titled Impact of Cultural Events and Festival on Cultural Tourism, they give a stage for individuals to celebrate their social legacy, grandstand their gifts and imagination, and advance social different qualities. These occasions can take different shapes, including music celebration, craftsmanship shows, conventional moves, and dramatic exhibition. In conclusion, while nationalism has the potential to preserve culture by promoting unity and pride in cultural heritage, it must be practiced inclusively, ensuring the respect and value of all cultural identity within the nation essentials. The balanced approach prevents the marginalization of minority culture and support rich, diverse cultural landscape. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadish. We will now have the second speaker coming from the opposition, Ms. Shanique Grant, representing the Junior Chamber International Guyana.
Respected judges, greetings. Today, I reinforce established protocols as I delve into a topic that often perplexes but warrants clarity. We, the members of the opposition, aim to dispel the myth that nationalism preserves culture. Rather, it distorts culture into a diluted version of itself, serving as a channel for stronger nations that assert their cultural dominance. In unpacking this argument, I will explore two crucial aspects: cultural imperialism and historical revisionism. According to a journal article by reputable researcher Eric Wood, 2016, nationalism serves as a channel for cultural and politics to combine, whereas nationalist appeals to culture are a means of political end. While often celebrated for fostering a sense of unity and pride, nationalism can have negative effects. One of the most significant is cultural imperialism. According to the Britannica Dictionary 2007, cultural imperialism is the imposition of one dominant community's cultural norms onto another, facilitated by political or economic dynamics. The United States serves as a prime example with their aggressive marketing and globalization strategies. Esteemed judges, we see this happening right before our very eyes with the mass exportation of American film, food, music, and clothing into other countries, threatening to alter and extinguish the cultural way of life. Nationalism is a political ideology that often causes one nation to believe they are superior, thus imposing their way of life on the other nations. Historical revisionism is another critical issue. This is the rewriting of history to serve a political narrative. The rise and fall of Mashimani in Guyana, for example. Guyanese journalist Usambu Bell, 2020, states that holiday was first adopted from the Arawaks, who had a similar celebration. When a young couple was getting married, the men would go fishing and hunting, while the women stayed behind with the children to make fireworks, tonic, and gather materials for building a banab. When the men returned, the banab would be built, the meat prepared, and the entire village will celebrate. On February 23rd, 1970, Guyana's first Republican festival was staged. The glittering floats, the pulsating soca, and the calypso rhythm had little resemblance to the Arawak holiday, but it served the country's purpose of celebrating the attainment of nationhood. Now, Mashimani has changed, valuing commercialism over experience. An article written by the Guyana Standard in 2024 surrounding the essence of Mashimani states that the spirit of the holiday is being lost in our attempt to mimic other countries' culture and neglect our roots. There is a heavy influence on dancehall music. Additionally, the adoption of a pale version of carnival is further contributing to a cultural dilution. Attentive audience, why are we pouring our resources into imitating our neighbor's culture while neglecting our roots? Before we consider nationalism and preserve culture, we must first embrace, protect, and revitalize what was once lost. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanique, for your presentation. We will now have the third speaker of the proposition, Mr. Titus Jones, representing the Queenstown Youth Group.
According to George Hughes in the book, The Study of Language quotes, losing language is equivalent to losing identity. Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, members of the proposition, viewers online, greetings to you all. I, the third speaker of the proposing team, is here today to solidify my team's argument on the move. Nationalism preserves culture. Firstly, before I conclude my team's argument, I would like to bring your attention to my team's final argument on today's meeting. Native language. A native language is often considered as a fundamental aspect of nation's identity, culture, and heritage. It plays a crucial role in shaping the collective identity of its people and preserving a sense of belonging and unity within the nation. According to an article by international author James Joyce, the fastest and most effective way to dictate an individual nationality is their language. In essence, safeguarding a native language is paramount to maintaining the culture and fabric and identity of a nation. Nationalism in this context acts as a guardian of linguistic heritage, ensuring that the unique traditions, values, and historical narratives embedded in the language are not lost to external influences. The preservation of language thus becomes a cornerstone for cultural survival, enabling nations to retain their distinctiveness and continue their legacy across generations. With that being said, allow me to reintroduce elaboration of promoting cultural preservation as discussed by our first speaker. My first speaker spoke extensively on promoting cultural preservation which plays a crucial role as a driving force and steward of societal heritage. This, intertwined with nationalism, motivates individuals to embrace and uphold the cultural legacies with passion and dedication. By fostering a collective sense of pride, nationalism inspires concerted efforts to protect and preserve traditional customs, languages, and practices for future generations. This sentiment is vividly demonstrated in Trinidad and Tobago, where Carnival serves as a vibrant expression of the nation's identity and heritage. Additionally, the transmission of intangible cultural heritage, such as language, music, and dance, is emphasized as fundamental to preservation efforts. Developing a sense of one's own cultural identity instills us with the responsibility for preserving linguistic heritage and cultural diversity. Ultimately, promoting cultural identity unites citizens in a shared commitment to safeguarding cultural traditions, ensuring the continuing of our culture for the benefit of present and future generations. In addition, our second speaker spoke on revitalization. Folk music tradition and organizing cultural festivals are crucial for preserving Caribbean heritage and fostering cultural identity. Grassroots initiatives like Trinidad and Tobago's community steel bands, Jamaica's reggae festivals, and traditional music schools in Cuba help sustain local musical practices and enrich the region's cultural landscape. Moreover, events such as Caribbean carnivals, food festivals, music concerts, and exhibitions offer essential platforms for artists and cultural practitioners to display their talents and traditions. In summary, the responsibilities outlined by my fellow speakers regarding nationalism preserving culture are driven by nations prioritizing safeguarding the welfare of their citizens. Finally, honorable judges, I, the third speaker, reiterate that nationalism indeed preserves culture. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We will now have the third speaker of the opposition, Mr. Manasseh Tudor, representing the Junior Chamber International, Guyana.
Madam Moderator, allow me to reinforce the previously established protocol. Today, I confidently join in support with the opposition on the route that reads, nationalism preserves culture. As the third speaker, I will delve into a crucial aspect of this, the exclusionary nature of nationalism, and by doing so, reiterate my team's stance and solidify our position. Nationalism, with its emphasis on a singular national identity, has too often silenced the voices of marginalized cultures within the Caribbean. Indigenous communities, descendants of enslaved peoples, and other minorities are being pushed to the fringes. Their languages, their traditions, histories, overshadowed by the dominant narrative of nationalism. This erasure not only diminishes the vibrancy of a region, but perpetuates systemic inequalities that continue to plague Caribbean societies. Listening audience, let's not allow my misguided opponents to paint a rosy picture of nationalism as inclusive. Their claims are at best facetious, and at worst, dangerously misleading. Esteemed judges, I revisit the historical context provided by Anthony W. Marx in Faith in Nation, Exclusionary Nature of Nationalism. Marx's research posits that European nationalism was born from religious conflict and intolerance, aimed explicitly at excluding those who did not conform to the dominant culture or religious norms. This is not a side effect. This is the blueprint, the DNA of nationalism. Listening audience, in India, the Bharatiya Janata Party has perfected the art of exclusion under the guise of nationalism. Narendra Modi's regime has systematically marginalized Muslims as evidenced by the horrifying Delhi riots of 2020. A study by Ahmad and Youssef nationalist agenda to the violence against minority communities. Honorable judges, 2020,
which states that UNESCO's efforts to preserve Guyana's cultural heritage highlight a glaring discrepancy in the approach of cultural inclusion in Guyana towards its indigenous culture. While the international community through UNESCO provides significant attention and resources to sites like Kaieteur National Park, the governmental budgetary allocation has historically fallen short in adequately supporting and preserving the rich indigenous heritage within our own borders. This exclusionary nature of governmental action, as a matter of fact, inaction, undermines the very efforts of Guyana's diverse cultural landscape. In the land of 6 nations and countless languages, how many of you can speak your mother tongue? Swahili, Arawak, Hindi? Madam Moderator, the proposition would like us to believe that nationalism preserves culture. But evidence clearly shows that this statement is fundamentally incorrect. Nationalism stagnates culture. Nationalism imposes culture. Nationalism harms culture. Nationalism excludes culture. But nationalism does not, and I repeat, does not preserve culture. So in the words of our forgotten brothers, Dao Sabo, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Manasa. At this time, we will allow the teams to have 5 minutes to prepare their rebuttals, and I'll ask the Public Relations Officer, Mr. Yannick December, to go through the rules of the competition with us. Thank you very much, Mr. December. In the first debate this morning, came out successful, with the best debater being Miss Atia Griffith from that group. In the second debate this morning, we saw J.C. Chandy Singh Secondary School Orators taking on the Helpful Hands Youth Group. The winning group from that matchup was Helpful Hands Youth Group, with the best debater being Mr. Nigel Dripal from that group. Congratulations to these groups, which have moved on to round 2 of this competition and are now joining the following groups: the University of Guyana Berbice Campus Orators Mastery Society, Joshua Generation Youth Ministry, Bijeville Secondary School Youth Group, and Oasis of Optimism. Congratulations to you all. Let me remind you of our teams this afternoon. The proposing team is the Queenstown Youth Group. And the aim of this group is to provide assistance and guidance to youths, providing a safe space for them to meet and interact with each other. To encourage the involvement and inclusivity of youths, the group offers activities surrounding sports, skills, training programs, motivational sessions, exchange visits, hamper distribution, Christmas parties, and other social and interactive activities. There is a membership of approximately 30, which is not limited to youths of only Queenstown Village. Their first speaker was Ms. Latanya Alves, their second speaker, Mr. Sadesh Motilal, and their third speaker, Mr. Titus Jones. The opposing team this afternoon is the Junior Chamber International Guyana. The JCI Guyana is affiliated with the Junior Chamber International, which is a worldwide leadership development organization that focuses on areas of opportunities. In keeping with the organization's mission, JCI Guyana aims to contribute to the advancement of the global community by providing opportunities for young people to develop exemplary leadership skills while providing service to humanity. Since its introduction in Guyana in 1964, the JCI has implemented several projects and programs which foster teamwork and spirit among group members and communities. Therefore, in conjunction with JCI's mission, the theme for this administrative year is transforming lives, impacting communities, achieving sustainability. Their first speaker for this session was Mr. Denroy Tudor, their second speaker, Ms. Shanique Grant, and their third speaker, Mr. Manasseh Tudor. This afternoon's moot was Nationalism Preserves Culture. Our timekeeper has indicated that time is up. So I will now call on Mr. Denroy Tudor of the Junior Chamber International Guyana to present his team's rebuttal. You can go ahead, Denroy.
Madam Moderator, esteemed judges, honorable members of the opposition, members of the side opposite, and distinguished guests. Jumbo. Madam Moderator, the proposition reminds me of the biblical story of the man who built his house upon sand. The winds came, the rains and streams came, and the house was washed away. I can assure you that we as the opposition have built our house and our position on solid rock. Madam Moderator, I rise again this afternoon to refute the notion that nationalism serves as a bastion preserving culture. This proposition has attempted to posit a romanticized ideal, but it clearly disregards the nuanced realities of our contemporary world. Now, allow me to elucidate upon the fallacies inherent in their arguments. Firstly, nationalism is not patriotism, and it was disappointing and disheartening that the proposition missed the crux of this particular debate. I wish to repeat the redefined moot. Prioritizing loyalty to nation state above other interests prevents the decay or destruction of the general customs and beliefs of that particular group of people. We now need to consider the notion that nationalism promotes, well, we have to first consider the notion that nationalism promotes a unique national identity, encompassing language, traditions, customs, and historical narratives. While this may appear benign, the result is far more insidious. Nationalism in its fervor to define a single identity often marginalizes and suppresses the rich tapestry of cultural diversity with framework, eclipsing the multifaceted plural a nation's soul. Next, we encounter the claim that nationalism protects cultural heritage. However, our second and third speaker would have identified that history reveals a darker truth. Nationalistic movements, with their zeal for cultural purity, frequently led to the destruction of cultural artifacts that do not conform to the dominant narrative. The zeal to rewrite history according to a nationalist script has often resulted in the erasure of invaluable historical legacies that do not fit the prescribed identity. Now, the argument that nationalism revitalizes indigenous practices is equally flawed. Nationalist agendas often co-opt and commodify these practices for political ends, stripping them of their authentic meaning and context instead of genuine preservation. What we witness is a superficial showcase designed to serve nationalistic propaganda, reducing profound cultural expressions to mere tools of political consequence, political convenience. Regarding language preservation, nationalism's focus on a single national language often leads to the suppression of linguistic diversity. Minority languages, instead of being cherished, are systematically marginalized, leading to the eventual extinction. A true preservation of culture would celebrate linguistic diversity and not subjugate it under the banner of a dominant language. The celebration of cultural festivals and events under the aegis of nationalism often mask a more sinister agenda. These events are frequently orchestrated to project a unified cultural identity, glossing over the rich diversity and complexity of the cultures they purport to celebrate. The result is a sanitized, politically motivated portrayal of culture, devoid of its authentic vibrancy. In closing, I wish to reiterate our position that nationalism stagnates culture. Nationalism imposes culture. Nationalism harms culture. Nationalism excludes culture. But nationalism does not, and I repeat, does not preserve culture. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Denroy. We will now have Miss Latanya Alves of the Queenstown Youth Group making her team's rebuttal.
Pleasant afternoon to you all. I, Latanya Alves, stand before you in full confidence of my team's stance of today's move, and I quote, nationalism preserves culture. Allow me to dissect and highlight the foul arguments made by the opposition. Your second speaker explained the essence of nationalism has died away, and since initiatives such as Carnival and Music Festival is used for commercial purposes. Whether or not that may be the case, the point of today is to show that nationalism, as my third speaker states, is to protect and preserve the heritage of a nation's culture. Advertisement of carnival, reggae festivals, and such does not change the main purpose to promote, protect, and remind citizens of their culture. Your third speaker came here today to state that nationalism stifles marginalized groups by taking away their languages and such, which is nonsense to me, since my third speaker stressed by evidence in his speech that nationalism, more than anything, preserves culture, when he stated that a native language is often considered a fundamental aspect of a nation's identity, culture, and heritage. It plays a crucial role in shaping the collective identity of its people and preserving a sense of belonging. Furthermore, Furthermore, my first speaker came here today to state. Furthermore, your first speaker came here today to state to me about oppression. My dear friends, as my second speaker stated, these carnivals and festivals does not bring oppression, but rather honor the legacy of a nation and embrace what they stand for. The third speaker of your team came here to scream in our ears that nationalism, support culture, does not preserve culture. Make that make sense. That is amusing to me, since as we continue to mention in our speech, for the sake of nationalism, that is not oppression or harm, but for the sake of preserving, protecting, and honoring a nation's legacy initiatives, such as festivals, carnivals, and the like, are still existent. I implore you all to take into consideration what such events has done for you, for reminding you of where you came from and guiding you to embrace your nation in every positive way. With that being said, we, the members of the proposition, strongly agree with today's move, and I quote, nationalism preserves culture, end quote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Latanya. While we give the judges a few moments to compile their scores, let me just remind you, our honorable judges this afternoon, we have Dr. Valerie Gursami-Smith, who is serving as Chief Judge. She's been an educator for 45 years and has had the privilege to share her knowledge in the areas of mathematics and English A and B at the CXC level at approximately 5 secondary schools in Region 4. As a trained graduate teacher, she spent over 25 years in secondary classrooms, and this was followed by her service transitioning to the tertiary level, where she spent 20 years at the University of Guyana as an English lecturer in the Faculty of Arts. As a University of Guyana student, she was the winner 2 years in succession of the Inter-Faculty Debating Competition. Dr. Gursami-Smith represented the University of Guyana in the International Collegiate Debating Competitions in New York and in the US Virgin Islands. She's a national and international motivational speaker and is the founder and coach of Mastering the Art of Public Speaking and the Oral and Written Communication for Business Professionals program. She's the owner of the Gursami Royal College, and she's also serves as the pastor for the Graceful Church Without Walls, with branches in Guyana, New York, Canada, and India. Dr. Gursami-Smith is involved in humanitarian services, both in Guyana and abroad, and most noteworthy to her is that she is the mother of 3 amazing businessmen. Our next judge this afternoon is Dr. Jermaine Hatton. Jermaine is a medical doctor and a University of Guyana lecturer in the School of Medicine in the areas of chemical pathology and academic writing. In 2019, Dr. Hatton was a member of the Guyana Youth Parliament, where he was awarded the Speaker's Award for his exceptional performance. In 2020, he represented Guyana at the Commonwealth Youth Parliament, where he acted as chairman of the Health Committee and promoted the important conversation on COVID-19. In 2022, the University of Guyana awarded him the Council of the University of Guyana Prize for the student that has made the greatest contribution to the University of Guyana in other areas of university life. Dr. Hatton also holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Medical Technology and a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Guyana, and is currently reading for his Master's degree in International Public Health. Outside of academia, he enjoys, like me, a nice hot plate chicken curry and traveling and sightseeing. Our final judge this afternoon is Sarfraz Yaku. Sarfraz hails from the ancient county of Berbice and is the managing director of Sigma Solutions, and also serves as a part-time lecturer attached to the University of Guyana. Sarfraz is also a medical student and is currently pursuing a master's in international public health from Liverpool University. He has a strong background in the natural sciences, health sciences, as well as politics and international relations. He holds awards and certificates from various prestigious universities worldwide, such as case studies in personalized medicine from Vanderbilt University, Moral Foundations of Politics from Yale University, Healthcare Data Quality and Governance from the University of California, Davies, just to name a few. Sarfraz has been actively involved in the debating realm for over 6 years and counting. And at Youth Parliament 2019, he was adjudged Best Speaker. And in 2020, was pronounced Youth of the Day by the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. He is an avid cricket and table tennis enthusiast and is a big fan of the Australian cricket team. His hobbies include playing chess, drafts, and learning about various religions and cultures. In 2022, Mr. Yaku was awarded the Connectors Award and the High Distinction Award at the World Youth Leaders Program in Dubai. Most recently, Sarfraz served as lead facilitator and judge for the 2023-2024 Girls Assembly program. And to date, he continues to contribute to Youth Parliament as a mentor. Judges, are we ready? Yes, our judges have indicated they're ready. I'll now ask Judge Hatton to give us his comments.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me again. Today, I came with the expectation to have a fierce competition. That did not happen today. And that's sad because these are two good teams and they should have been badly wanting this spot in the Nationals. Unfortunately, we had two major blunders happening here today. One is the interpretation of the moot. When you have a difficult moot, and sometimes you might think as though a moot is not winnable, but when you have a moot, it's simply interpreting one word, make you win that debate or lose that debate. And today we had a team that completely ignored the word nationalism, right? And focused heavily on culture, right? So while that might have cost that team, the other side had a very poor rebuttal. The rebuttal is not a chance to repeat what you have said already. Don't come back with the fancy antics and try to tell me the same things that you have said a second time around. We have heard you the first time. It's not about repeating anything. A rebuttal is a chance you get to dissect the arguments proposed by the opposite team. What did they say? Why do you think what they have said is wrong? Show me with the evidence based on what you have presented in your speech. Not to repeat the fancy parts of your speech or the fancy part of the second speaker or the third speaker's speech. So we had two good teams, two teams that I was personally rooting for. One will be eliminated today, and the other one get a chance to try again. But as you go closer to the end of this competition, if you want to be the winner of the competition at the end, you cannot leave anything to chance. One, you have to make sure you interpret your mood well and you know what you're arguing on. Secondly, your rebuttal is to rebut points presented from the opposite side, not for you to repeat your high points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jermaine. I'll now ask Judge Yakub for his comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to both teams for your presentations this afternoon. I'll be very brief because I concur with everything Dr. Hatton would have said, so I don't want to be repetitive. Some positives and some good points we've had this afternoon were the mention of promotion of local traditions, cultural sovereignty, social cohesion, cultural stagnation, which is very interesting because when you focus on preserving a culture, sometimes you tend to lack the innovative aspect of it. And if we look at China, they have managed to incorporate both of these things. They have the cultural aspect and they're innovative as well. If you look at their New Year presentations and all of these things, so we can perhaps learn from that. And in terms of some negatives, some things that I would have liked to see is the mention of exclusionary practices. There were mentions, but it was not hammered home. So you could have made mention of the exclusionary practices and the false monoculturalism as a more homogeneous approach, thinking that we have one big broad culture, where we are a multicultural society. So if we are having this one big approach, some persons might feel disenfranchised. You to keep practicing, and at this level you have to come better prepared. You have to do the work. You put in the work and you'll get the results. So best wishes going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Press. I'll now call on our Chief Judge, Dr. Valerie Gonzalez-Smith, to give us her comments and announce the winner and best debater.
A very blessed good afternoon to in Parliament, out of Parliament, national and international viewers. Today we've been treated to another debate, Nationalism Preserves Culture. Now, indeed, like my other two judges on the team, we came with a great expectations, great expectation, because the topic has room for that kind of push, especially in a debate. The matter was addressed with how little emphasis was placed on nationalism, because this is what we are proving preserves the culture. And for a whole discussion to take place among three speakers, and we just hear the use of the word nationalism, but we never heard how the program, the policies, the principles, what is happening on a national level, how plans are made to preserve, like one of my colleagues said on the judging panel, preserve each of the culture. We are a multicultural society. And I believe you had lots of strengths that you could have used, lots of points you could have used. It's gazing at you for you to pull out from it. My hope is that debaters spend more time researching. Just don't pull a name because they spoke on the matter. Find out if that name is an authority on the matter. One team used a lot of emphasis on language and indigenous language, and that's a struggle in this nation. I'm a language teacher, and I know the struggle we have to even present to the government or to the country that Creole is our first language. Creole is not yet recognized in this nation. Nationalism in the respective forum is failing us to preserve that culture. It's actually dying with the older folks. So with those comments, yet I would like to congratulate both teams for the work they have done, bearing in mind much more could have been done with the topic. It was conducive to a deeper discussion, a more engaging discussion. But we thank you for what you've done. You gave us a privilege to draw a conclusion. And in the process, we were able to choose a best speaker. I want to encourage you debaters. I know some of you are seasoned, some of you are more mature, some of you are more experienced, and I believe much more was expected. But congratulations for the efforts today. We were able to choose a best speaker, and that best speaker is coming from the opposition. And it is no other than from Junior Chamber International, Mr. Denroy Chuda. Let's give it up for Mr. Denroy Chuda, who came out as best speaker today in the first debate I'm judging today, but I believe it's the third debate so far for the day. And the winning team for today, the scores we have are 170.3 as opposed to 186. So the winning team is going with 186 points, and that team is no other than the opposition. Congratulations as you go forward. Congratulations as you continue to plan, prepare, and execute your plan. And I just want to enforce, we have not yet tasted of what a true rebuttal is as yet. We are still looking forward as judges for a true rebuttal. Get my number, get our numbers, and call us. We will give you good training. Thank you all so much for this opportunity.
And congratulations to the winning team. Congratulations to the best speaker. Thank you, judges. So here ends debate 3. Stay put as we're about to move on to the final debate for today. And that is the final debate in this round of the competition. And we will be back shortly at 3:30 p.m. Do join us then.